So one of the things I have been thinking about that I'd love to go over with you is the fact that I've been looking at the way different fans of different philosophers express what they think the majority differences are between their approaches, and the term for it, at least in the humanities, has been something like the eternal conversation, where one person proposes one idea, one proposes another. And yet, and it's an easy metaphor to follow. It's one that I can understand the attractiveness of. But what's troubling is that so many of the people that we do admire in philosophy and art, etc., if you find a way to adjust in some kind of strangely and random mathematical fashion the notion that, Keats's poems are always going to be of a very young man who hasn't figured things out yet. If Albert Camus had lived to 65, I'm not sure he would have been very fond of his writings in his 30s and early 40s. Sartre did everyone the favor of never completely saying anything so that he could continue to revise and change and never come back. Montaigne's work is the work of someone who deeply invested in his culture and his place in society and his place in his local community, only to have that ripped away from him so severely that he sat down and was the one who told us, I have no more written my book than my book has written me. And it's the book of someone in his 50s trying to figure out what the fuck went wrong. And a lot of the things in the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying have that basic metaphor of, let's say, the Tootsie Roll Pop from the 70s. Remember that cool cartoon with the owl sitting in the tree, and you say, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop? And he has a 1, a 2, a 3, and he bites into it, and there it is, question answered, which was not at all what the young man wanted. The young man wanted to know, how many times do you have to lick this son of a bitch before it dissolves and I can get my Tootsie Roll? Well, enlightenment, I was hoping this would happen. That's cool. But the notion, what if the things, the awakeness, the calmness, the sitting and knowing where you are and what is around you, and simply being awake to your existence, is the Tootsie Roll. And in the traditions of, especially in China, and of course it's, whatever China does, Japan thinks they can do better. But the notion of, it's not, you don't have to sit and spend years learning this technique and getting better. Keats can take a bite out of the chocolate shell anytime and get right to the candy. That's spontaneous enlightenment. The other things that matter if you're just getting closer and closer through years and years of training, and both are true. But what you discover, you'd mentioned to me once about Kerouac saying that when you experience enlightenment, you realize you always were enlightened. Well, that's been said in various schools of Buddhism for the longest time, because samsara surrounds that Buddha nature. It ostensibly protects that Buddha nature. It's there to help us achieve the things that if you are alive in Buddha nature all the time, maybe you don't necessarily have so many people who live so long. Maybe you fall victim to the elements more. Maybe you fall victim to your natural predators more. So on the one hand, all the bad habits that result in samsara may be there simply to contain and protect it. It's like the great storms that come, and we've had a few lately in the Southwest, but a few great storms come, you look up and there is no blue sky. It is nothing but lightning and dark, and if you look up too well, the rain just pops you right in the eye, and you never actually see the raindrop that's going to hit you until it's right there. So it's not like you can dodge them. But If you were in an airplane that day and it could get above it, you would still have the same unbroken sky. There's nothing about the sky that breaks from the storm. In fact, when the storm breaks is the term. And after the storm has broken, the sky has always been intact. And light, or the practice of meditation, is learning how to break the storm so you can resume your connection with what in some cases feels like it's within us, but in the matter of the sky, it's behind us, it's above us. And it's unbroken no matter what we do, no matter if we're enlightened or not.